Welcome to Self-Care Tuesdays with KKM. Self-Care Tuesdays with KKM is a podcast about three women with different lifestyles raising awareness on the importance of self-care to reach one's highest potential. Now here are your hosts, Kat, Krista, and Maria. Hey guys, so the topic of discussion today is letting go and shielding. New moon today?
Yeah, full moon.
Oh, full moon. See, I don't know. I'm learning. Okay.
So full moon today is full moon's about releasing and letting go. So this is a really apt topic to get into.
So let's talk about what we did this morning for the full moon. I did a little bit of research on this. Apparently, I was texting them last night excited about this full moon. And mind you, I just got into the whole astrology thing. And I was watching Cosmos on Netflix over the last weekend. So Cosmos, it's such a good show.
Is it?
It's such a good show about the universe.
Is it? Oh,
Yes.
I've seen it. It used to be on like Channel 5, right? Okay,
It used
gotcha.
to be on Channel 5. Okay.
Yeah.
So I was texting them last night information about the full moon, the benefits, what you need to do, releasing, letting go, which is, as Krista mentioned, a perfect topic for today. But yes, the full moon occurred at 9:10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
So what does that mean? Because I'm new. I'm new. I don't know what it means.
So there's a full moon once a month, and there's a new moon once a month. So it's the cycle. It's the
Okay.
moon phases is really what it is. Now, background of astrology, I don't consider myself an astrologist because it really is an in-depth study. I mean, people, astrologers out there, like Channing Nichols, Dr. Michael Lennox, they've studied this. This is their craft. I'm just, diving into a little bit, and I know a little bit more than others.
Us for sure.
But it is just a cosmic way to realign yourself into the universal energy that is happening. Again, you've heard me mention this multiple times about energy and how we are just energy beings in a physical form, and how we are definitely affected by the moon cycles because of the fact that we are,
Water.
yeah, like 70% water, right?
Yeah.
Just as Earth. So I find that everything that we do is guidance. You have the power of free will. Everybody has the power of free will, right? That's so important to know and understand. Whoever you seek, whoever you go to for guidance, you have the power of free will. So when you leave, you can be like, oh, that was interesting, and then walk away from it. But I found that I especially get affected by the pre-shadow of the full moons in actuality, and I found that reason for that is because this is what I do for a living. I am a spiritual advisor for a lot of people, and so I find that I get affected with the pre-shadows because I get the brunt of it. Pre-shadows are like the 2-3 days prior to the full moon, and
You're
then
affected?
the post. Yes, I get really affected by it in a way so that I get aligned, and so that when it's really my business.
So you can handle it.
Yes.
When it actually comes.
Yes, because then these are actually my busiest times when these universal energy surfaces, and people are like, I don't know what's going on.
It's so
Why
crazy.
am I
It's
getting
like,
so sensitive
yeah.
about things, and this one is particularly on Sagittarius, which is my sign. And
me too.
You both are Sages. I'm
which
surrounded by you
deals
guys.
With, Sagittarius is all about optimism,
Playfulness. It's a playful energy.
passion, abundance, right? So, and then we're backed by Jupiter, which is the abundance planet. So I found that
It's all
in
good
this
stuff.
particular, So a lot of people are like full moon releasing, letting go, and a lot of it is in this regard. It's about letting go what no longer serves you to your best and highest good in regards to particular relationship and career transitions, right?
So let go, people.
Yes. What no longer serves you? The doubts, the insecurities. Okay, all these like, oh, am I good enough? Or should I? Should I not? Maybe this is safer here.
Or
I'm gonna
fear
stay
of
here.
change.
Fear. Yeah. Yeah, and that doesn't serve you because obviously, the universal energy is literally pushing you and guiding you and loving you to get to this new level.
You know, it's interesting. Every month, just recently, before we started talking about this, I've been asking myself, like, why do I deal with the same situation every month?
Mm-hmm.
Why do I feel like this every month around this time? And usually I would correlate it to maybe me being that time of month or whatever, but I don't think it's that. I do feel like maybe there is something to that I have to learn more about because...
And that's what it all is, right? It's just guidance. It just gives you this ability to be like, oh, what else is going on?
Or as they say, you go through the same situations until you learn the lesson that needs to be learned from that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I do know that. So, and I do know that I have to let go of certain things. So that's what I'm working on.
Yeah, and then the reason for that too, and that's why we're saying letting go, you should do it now because you're supported by the energy.
Got you.
Right? You
So
can
if
let
you
go
are gonna
anytime. We're going to let go every day, but it's even better because universally
It's helping you.
It's helping you it's like helping you in that level.
I
Love
like
it.
that.
Yes.
Well, one thing I shared with Krista earlier today was in terms of letting go and releasing your fears. Something powerful happened randomly this past week. I've been very in tune with myself since meditating. I also do acupuncture, and I write a lot, obviously. But one of the things I did this past week was internalized everything that I had gone through in the last 2 to 3 years. What have I been through that no longer serves a high purpose in my life, and why am I missing certain people that don't really have a place in my life anymore? So I was talking to Krista and I told her about how I would just visualize myself. Whenever a memory of someone just pops up into my head, I imagine myself going back to that moment in time and staring back at my own self and saying, reclaim your power. I think there are times in our lives when we give up our power so easily, and our power is given up to sometimes people who don't deserve it.
Yes.
And a part of that for me was very cathartic, just going back and visualizing it, because it helped me look at the person that I was versus the person that I am today.
Mm-hmm.
And as I did that, the memory of that person no longer was as intense as it was before, because I reclaimed that part of myself. It's almost like you're not changing them, you're not changing the situation, you're changing your thoughts on how you look at things. And it's a shift of perspective.
Yeah, I mean, life is about perspective.
Yeah.
You know, perspective is everything in my opinion. So what are other ways that you guys let go? What about you?
Well, I do this special this technique that is called etheric cord cutting. I do this for
My
myself.
favorite.
I do this for myself. I do this for my clients. Now, this isn't the practice of moving energy, moving in a sense where we are literally cutting off certain energy. There is something called etheric cords. Etheric cords are energy cords that you do produce whenever you are in the vicinity of another being. Okay, like we are having an etheric cord right now because we are really in proximity and we are siphoning energy from each other. Right? Yeah.
And just for the purpose of allowing the audience to understand, is it like an umbilical cord?
Yes, it is like an invisible umbilical cord. Now, in my world of chi therapy, a lot of my clients who speak about, why is their child sickly, or, particularly with one thing happened to my daughter, you don't go to the child, you go to the mother, because the child's energy is heavily connected to the mom. So it is like the umbilical cord aspect. Okay. From between the moment they're born to about 8 years old, you not only heal the mom, but her healing also goes into the child.
That's true.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
So yes, it is like that invisible umbilical cord. You siphon energy, good and bad.
Yes.
Good and bad. So it's always good to cut it. Like even after our session today, again, as I mentioned in the last podcast, I will be cutting energies off just because, hey, I love it.
You need to.
I love when she
Yeah.
says that, though, because I can just imagine her going
know,
home
I need
saying,
to, yeah.
cut that cord.
Michael, hook it up, Archangel Michael.
Yeah. So what about shielding? I mean, when you are in close proximity to someone that has negative energy or...
Boundaries.
Yeah, so what do you do? How do you do it?
Okay, so shielding is another technique coincides with that. I usually will shield after cord cutting, or I will shield every morning. I particularly am based on angels, so I particularly for shielding and cord cutting is Archangel Michael. He is in the world of angels. By the way, they're not bound by religions or anything like that. You know, there's been multiple texts where he's mentioned, and he's not just, for some reason, the Catholic religion just owned him, but it's not true. Mm-hmm. Archangel Michael is the archangel, the warrior archangel. He's the one who carries within the sword of light. He cuts off any negative energy. He is connected to the amethyst stone, which is the color purple. He is connected to your third eye and to your crown chakra, which are both purple and indigo. Okay, so he's very high energy, high powered energy being. I use him a lot actually. I shield with him, but I always make sure that I don't shield to the point where I am not allowing love in. Because sometimes, even in the beginning of my work, when I first started doing this work, I shielded so much because I was seeing crazy stuff, like, you know, like ghosts and stuff that I didn't want to be around. So in the beginning, I was shielding to the point where it got to the point where I was also just cutting off
everything, even the positive.
Even the positive, and I was just kind of like in this box. So it's important that you ask for his protection, but also make sure that you allow the love and the energy siphoning, and keep the love, cut the toxic.
When did what was it that you went through that you experienced where you realized that you had to let go? Like, you know, I feel like everyone has a moment. Yeah. I don't think that you know right away that you have to let go of something. I feel like you go through something in life that you're like, oh, I need to let go of that energy. Do you know the first?
Yeah, I well, not the first, but the most recent.
Okay.
Because I've had to let go so many times, but I think this one was, as an adult, I had to take control of the situation that I was in, whether it was family related, romantic, friendship. I had to take control of the situation I was in, and to date, it happened around February. I think I was on a bus heading to Midtown or something, and I found myself writing a letter to someone that I cared about so much, and I wrote the letter on my notepad on my iPhone because it was a way for me to release whatever was going on in my head. I didn't want to bottle it up, and I needed to write this letter for some odd reason. I'd never sent it, obviously, but I found myself writing a letter saying goodbye and saying, this is not for me. We're not fulfilling each other's needs, and not just fulfilling each other's needs. We're just not the highest form of who we are when we're together. So when I wrote that, it opened up to more things like family situations, and then career, and then friendships that I've had to slowly release. And that one letter that I wrote to this person was sort of a passage into more doors that I had to open up to say goodbye to certain people, just to enter into a new chapter. And I had a conversation with one of my best friends in Atlanta yesterday, and I was just telling her how all this time I was thinking about all of these signs that were pointing in that direction. There's a quote where I think I heard it in Amelie, the movie Amelie. A fool looks at the finger that points to the sky. And all this time I felt like I was looking at this finger, the signs that were in front of me, but I wasn't looking at the reason why they were in front of me. I just thought, oh, this is the reason why things are happening, but I wasn't looking at the future. I was looking at, why is this happening to me, sort of thing. So I think at that moment in time, that letter was the direction that these signs were pointing towards. It was telling me as a 34-year-old, listen, you're a grown-ass woman. You have control over your life. And it's time to release things, and it's time to welcome in new things. Because when you release stuff, you just welcome in more abundance and peace and calmness.
Oh,
and
that's a good thing.
And I'm sure most of my friends and family have noticed just a shift in my energy levels from February to now. It was just...
I know I have.
I know Kat has.
Yeah, I definitely have. Yeah, you've definitely...
I just feel more calm because you really let go and you accept, you surrender, and you just say, hey, universe, just do your thing. I'm ready.
But I like that you said that when you let go, you allowed more abundance to come in. I think that's beautiful.
Yes, and I
That's
learned that
something
from you. You said that because I told you before. I was like, I need boundaries. I told her, I was like, I need to shield myself. I need boundaries. But then she's like, be careful. Even though you have boundaries, always make sure that you let that love in and honor the relationships and friendships or people that you've interacted with. Honor what you had when you guys were interacting with each other. You didn't hate each other. It was just a situation, or it just didn't work out, or you know, and
I remember now.
right?
Yeah, I do
I think I was
remember
in
now.
Vienna. This was in November, but long story short, I think it's important to always be open, compassionate, and loving, even though you shield yourself and have those boundaries.
Of course. It always has to come from that. I don't know how many times I have to repeat that. You know, intention is behind everything.
Yes, it's so true.
You could be smiling at somebody's face, but what's the intention behind that smile? Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, you could be shielding all this good stuff, calling Archangel Michael, but what is the intention behind that shield?
That's so true.
Intention is
So
Writing
everything.
that goodbye letter, what is the intention? Is it coming from the ego, or is it coming from the higher self?
Yeah.
You know?
Stop
It's-
making me question myself. Right, wait. Let me check myself real quick.
Very important.
That is so
Very
true.
Important.
You're right.
You know, in any of these techniques that we give or we speak about, it is always prior to doing any of these, and you always have to breathe in calming breaths, because nothing you do should be done overstimulated emotionally or mentally. It needs to come from a space of objectivity.
I have a question. So, what if you are emotional and you write, right? Like, it's not a bad.
The intention behind it
Is
to
emotional.
just release it.
Yeah,
Get
and
that
that's okay.
emotion. That's okay.
Yeah.
Throw it out.
Yeah.
And then do it
And
again.
then do it again.
Oh, I love
yeah,
that.
that's what I'm
Oh,
saying.
that's
Like, I
such a
just
good
wanted
tip.
to,
Yes, to clarify that.
yeah,
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 yeah, of
because
course.
you know, I know that I'm, like I said, I'm an emotional writer, but I do it to let it out.
Yeah.
And then I'll go back and be like, okay, now I'm calm.
Yes.
I just vomited.
Yes,
And now let
honor
me,
your vomit.
yeah, I honored my vomit. Now let me go back in and rewrite and like be
Yes.
my higher self now.
Well, what about you?
Well, I learned how to let go like at a young age because when my dad died, I was 8. So I had to learn how to let him go. I had to deal with death and learn how to let him go. Close friends go. You know, we moved, we went to new school. It was just a lot of. I didn't know at the time that was what I mean, but that was my experience. I had to learn how to let go of that pain and accept.
But were you doing that as an 8-year-old, or were you doing it as an adult?
I think I've been trying to do it ever since.
No.
No, I'm serious. I think I think that letting go is a constant process
Oh, of course.
that we'll always have to go through. So I think, but for me, it started at 8 is what I mean. That's when it first hit me, and it's hard. And you go through things, and honestly, there's no time limit to letting go. I mean, it
No.
is what it is.
Especially with death.
As,
like-
but life is about perspective. It doesn't have to be as severe as death. It depends on your life experiences and what you've been through that, you know, determines when you let go. It's up to each individual.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we can give you as many aids as we want and things to help you in letting go, but it really depends on the person, in my opinion.
That's true, because, you know, when your dad died when you were 8 years old, that doesn't mean you just let go at that moment in time. It's like,
No.
it's not even letting go. And I say this because when my brother passed away when I was 14, I felt like I don't want to let my brother go. I don't want to let his memory go. But I think it's not about letting go. It's about celebrating their life with each thought.
Yeah, I think I meant to say that as in like that was my first introduction to having
Loss.
to learn how to let go.
Yeah.
That was when it all started, and then I realized like, okay, I have to let go of you, then I gotta let go of where I'm living, and now let me let go of my friend. Like, I had to let go.
Yeah,
I didn't have a
Yeah.
choice. You know what I mean?
The letting go, this whole entire world of cutting cords and letting go and shielding came obviously when I had to study and learn this world of energy. But it was also a big part of me having to heal from a traumatized childhood.
Yeah.
You know, I am writing a book, And I would never forget that it came to the part where I said something and along the lines of, you know, this is when I got reunited with my mom after 4.5 years of being apart. She had left me and my 4 other siblings in the Philippines to come to the States to, you know, make money.
How old were you?
I was 7.
Okay.
And we didn't get reunited until about I was 11 and a half, almost 12.
Mm.
And I spoke very, you know, candidly about how do I treat this woman?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I saw a woman. I didn't see a mom. You know, I you know, but my defense mechanism and my coping mechanism at 7 years old was to detach.
Mm.
And a lot of, you know, in the world of psychology and in the world of, you know, therapy, you know, detachment is such a bad thing. But, you know, that was my survival method. That was my survival mechanism. I explained this very clearly in my book. My book is about the specific traumas and the specific coping mechanisms that had arose at that specific event.
Yeah.
Wow.
And this particular moment with my mom, you know, with this reuniting with my mother and my older brother, who were only a year and a half apart. And he, you know, by the way, this was all like, we were like basically kidnapped. We didn't know that we were leaving.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we were, it was like 3 o'clock in the morning. We were told we were going on a secret vacation. And then the next thing you know, within a couple of days, we were on a plane to the States.
Wow.
Leaving everything we knew behind. So, so then we were from Cebu, the island of Cebu, and we had to take a ship to Manila. And when we docked to Manila, my mother was there waiting at the docks.
Wow.
After 4.5 years, my brother instinctively yelled out, "Mama!" You know.
Aw, how old was he?
And he was 12.
Okay.
And I kind of, you know, my visceral reaction was like, do I hug her? Do I tell her how traumatic my life has been with an abusive father? I mean, she knew, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, that she finally had to come and save her children, you know. So, but a lot of my my peers were saying that, well, you know, you were 7 when she left, so there was enough time to have that mother and daughter bond.
Mm-hmm.
But I had detached that much
Wow.
because of this experience.
You were really hurt when she left.
Right.
Absolutely.
And so, and through the healing process as an adult and letting go, and you know, there was a lot of, for me to survive, I had to just feel like, okay, it's okay to not have a mom. You survived. You're still here.
Yeah.
Keep going. You know. And then I lost her, you know, fully anyway 3 years later after reuniting with her. So it was just like this moment of like not having a mom for a moment and then not having a mom, and then physically not having a mom at all. Period.
The same thing.
And then having this gift of mediumship and not being able to call on her like that. Whereas I can have clients and they can call their mother all the time, right?
Yeah.
So it's this form of detachment, but in all honesty, because of the fact that you are in a calm state and you're coming from an objective view and you're letting go and doing all of this, now I can really honestly say I have a better relationship with my mother in the spirit world.
Do
That's
you
beautiful.
talk to her now?
Oh yeah, all the time.
Okay. I was gonna ask because you said
She
that you
called-
couldn't.
Yeah.
But you. How long has it been since you've been able to?
Oh, recently, so funny. So recently we were in Florida, just about 3 weeks ago. And there's this song by Sam Smith called Lay Me Down, right? And, you know, in my head, I'm like, of course there's going to be a movie coming out of my book. And the specific song I specifically, you know, chose for this part when the moment that she does pass in the hospital, because it was just so appropriate to the words. Because
This is a
lay
soundtrack
down?
you're
Yeah,
saying.
can I lie down with you tonight? And you know,
Aw.
and when she had passed, my youngest brother, who was only 8 then, didn't understand what was happening, and when he got to the hospital, he did lay down on her bed, thinking she was just
Aw.
sleeping. So it came on randomly on the radio as we were driving, and me and my sister, of course, gets into a quiet mode because we both
Knew what was
this was
going.
this was her song for her.
Mm.
The moment the song finished, I wish I could have, you know, taken a picture of this because a car passed by and the license plate was Eva,
And
Oh,
that's your
that's
mom's name?
beautiful.
mom's name.
Wow.
And so me and my sister just look at each other. I'm like, you can't make this shit up.
I love it.
You really can't.
I love
you
it.
really can't.
That's
You
beautiful.
really can't.
Yeah.
And you know, is she there every day with me? No. But in these moments
Yeah.
that, you know, and that's one thing that I always have to say too, even with my clients who comes in, we're like, I want to connect to my mom. I want to connect to my dad. I want to connect to my grandpa who passed away, who I was very close to. If they don't connect, if they don't show up, it's not because they don't love you. It's just because you don't need them at that moment. You know, I always have to preface like every session with such, you know, things.
Kat, you're crying. Oh my
Always.
god.
Sorry. I already said
But-
I'm a crier of the group, so.
But letting go is really important in that sense. Because,
It's true.
And I can honestly say that because of me letting go, I've had a better relationship with my mom.
Yeah. Well, letting go to me, in addition to writing that letter, is same with you, Krista. I grew up without a mom. She left. Then I went to my dad. So, long story short, a part of me always wanted to have a mother-daughter relationship that I saw with my friends. But a form of letting go for me, and also acceptance, is going back in time. And as you said, you have a better relationship with your mom now. I don't really talk to my mom often, but I remember memories of her, or I remember moments with her when it's just me and her, and she's just talking to me about random shit. You know, like she's putting her makeup on. I'd observe her, and I kind of go back in that moment in time, and I see a human being.
Yes.
In addition to being a mother and, you know, someone's daughter and then someone's wife at that time, she was just human.
Yes.
And we all make mistakes, and I think I just looked at it from a place of compassion.
Yes.
And that was my form of letting go, because I can't change
that's when you know
anything.
you've evolved, right? When you look at everything through
Yeah.
compassion and love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I keep saying that like in all my things that I
Compassion and love.
compassion and
It's
love.
so true,
Yeah,
though.
it
It's
is true. Very true.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if I actually let go of my issues. I feel like right now I'm like listening to you guys. I'm like, maybe I haven't. Maybe that's why I'm so like crazy in my because I don't know what I did to like. I know that I experienced having to let go at a young age. I don't know that I did. I mean, I had to, right?
Of course.
I mean, I've obviously evolved, so-
Somebody said it. There was a quote that says the moment that you speak of your experience and no longer cry about it
Yeah.
Ah.
is when you know you've truly healed.
Or what about if when you're in a relationship and it ended, when the sting is no longer there, right?
Mm-hmm. You've truly
Huh.
healed, right?
Yeah.
When you can look at it and talk about it and say, "Thank you for that. I love you. Thank you. I'm sorry.
Please forgive me."
I love that.
Okay, we have to figure out the exact way to pronounce that. Ho'opono.
Oh no.
If someone could tell us, if someone can email us a voice note on how to properly say that, that would be amazing.
But yeah, that's letting go.
So I guess if I was to give advice on letting go, I would say to live in the present moment and ride the wave on top, and not to focus on what your life should have been, could have been, would have, just stay in the present moment and let go of this like picture perfect life that you thought you could have, because it takes away from where you are. And it doesn't allow like the abundance that you do have around you in, because you're so focused on the negative, like, oh, I should have had this job, or I should have been in this role, or I should have had this many children by now, I should have been married by now. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
just if you live in the present moment, you can focus on the abundance that you do have, and also to just constantly live in a grateful state. Because
Yes,
that
that's
is
a
where
plus
joy
plus.
is at the end of the day, is when
Yes.
you are grateful. And you can't do that if you're so focused on where you wish you could have been or what you wish you could have done.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, just accept life is crazy. Trust me. I mean, we've all been through things that we're like, how? Why? Where did this
Yeah.
come from? You know what I mean? And there obviously are things, I mean, that I wish, I know for sure, like that I wish that I was further along in, but I'm not focused on that. Instead, I'm going to focus on what I do have, where I am in the present moment, be grateful for where I am, and see where I'm going. You know what I mean?
Yes. For me, with letting go, whenever I'm going through anything in life, I always say to myself to trust the process and trust the journey. Because if I'm still here, and if all these experiences that I've had were rich and abundant, and just whether it's sadness, joyfulness, or calmness, these moments made up who I am.
Yep.
And I wouldn't be here at this in this very moment in this room with Kat and Krista talking about life had I not been through those things. So I trust the journey and I trust the process, and I'm hopeful. At the end of the day, stay optimistic, because tomorrow and even each moment is just a time another chance to breathe, basically.
It's extremely important to let go for your self-care, because it's impossible to move forward if you haven't let go of the pain of the past. And as long as you're continually looking back, you can't see forward.
This is one advice. Honestly, this is a good advice. When you're going through shit in life, and I'll just keep it real here, don't sit in the middle of the road, in this dark, cold road that you're on. Keep on going, keep running, because what's the point? If you're sitting there, you're screwed either way. But if you just keep going towards the path, you're eventually going to reach a place where you're going to have enough courage to make it through another day. And I mean, I was very blunt with that, but there was one day back in February, when I talked about writing a letter, I really had to stop myself and say to myself and be blunt with myself and say, one brave act can lead to more triumphant moments. So keep on going and don't sit on that road. Whatever it is that you're going through, whether it feels like there's no way out, just keep going.
Yes, letting go is such an important part of self-care.
I'm a big quoter.
Yes.
There's this quote that sums it up really well. Getting over a painful experience is much like crossing monkey bars. You have to let go at some point in order to move forward. This is by C.S. Lewis.
Oh, I love him.
It's very important.
I love that.
Yeah, it's very important, because this is the sense of why is it good for you.
Yeah.
Letting go is great, because not only are we moving forward just from the strength of survival mode, right?
Yeah.
There's a point in your life where you can no longer just survive.
Or exist.
Over 42 million people are survivors of traumas. That does not mean they are healed. That does not mean they are not broken. And there's another quote that I actually put. It's better to build strong children than to fix broken men. Okay?
That's one of my favorite ones.
This is why we let go, because we no longer want to fix broken men. And this is something that I'm an advocate with, is teaching it from a young age. As important that, yes, we get it. I'm 35 years old, and only did I fully go into the mode of healing myself. Yes, I became a successful entrepreneur. Yes, I've gotten all the goals that I've done, but I led it through the sheer will of ego and the sheer will of manpower, right? And only then, at 30 years old, did my energy, my spiritual self, and my physical self stop me dead in my tracks. Western medicine couldn't figure it out. I've gotten MRIs and all this stuff, and they couldn't figure out why my neck was locking up. And people were saying, I had doctors saying, "Oh, you're from C4 to C7, were herniated." But only be caused by a massive injury, such as a car accident or something.
Oh, wow.
And it was because basically at a certain point in my life, I was driven by ego. I was driven by my mind. The mind is an amazing thing. Okay? The mind will get you through everything. The mind will be like, "Oh, your leg is broken? It's cool. We can limp to get to the next block."
I love that.
Amazing, right? I mean, hey, this is your gift. But I'm a very big advocate of balancing all three aspects of yourself, and only then can you really reach that full potential.
What three aspects?
Mind, body, and spirit. Mind, body,
I like
and
it.
spirit.
Yeah.
Right. So that's why letting go is so important, not only in the mental state, but also in the physical state and the energy state.
Yes.
Okay, and this is why we let go, for me anyway.
And that's why self-care is important.
Yes, indeed.
Agreed.
Well, some fun facts, guys. There are studies. I'm very big on numbers too now. But there, for PTSD,
Mhm.
right? For PTSD, there's actually now alternative medicine, and this is in the forms of what we're talking about: self-care, meditation,
Yes.
yoga, acupuncture.
I love
you know,
acupuncture.
These are all part in that world, and this is actually rising in the studies in U.S. alone.
I love that.
It's increased 33.2% all the way up to 40.2%.
That's amazing.
People are now not only doing Western world of medicine, which is the medicine, right? Like as far as pills and drugs.
Yes. Mhm.
But also now balancing it out with the alternative aspect of spiritual healing,
Meditation and yeah, actually,
acupuncture, natural remedies.
we should
right?
talk about that a
Yeah.
little bit more. Maybe share different non-medical ways like meditation, acupuncture. What else can you
Yes.
do?
I have an entire routine already down packed in my calendar.
Good. So, what about you, Krista? Do you know of what other spiritual ways what can we do to let go? Like, so there's meditation. She gave some apps.
Well, meditation is amazing, in all forms of it.
Awesome. So one more thing that I will say before we close out is that, mindset is key as well. So whatever you need to do to get your mindset right so you can let go, there's so many inspirational people out there like Tony Robbins, there's Mind Valley, there's so many resources that you have out there right now to help you let go and listen to it. Whatever you need to do to get your mind right so you can let go, and whatever inspires you to reinforce you letting go, you should do as well.
And when you check out our site, we'll have a list of all of the apps and the books that we talked
Yes.
about. And oh my gosh, the book that I must recommend, it's called Growth Mindset. We'll post that on the site, and also all of the resources that we mentioned, so that way you guys can have access to that as well.
Yes, we are here for you. We want you guys to self-care and self-love. And that's it, guys. Thanks so much for listening to Self-Care Tuesdays with KKM. We look forward to sharing with you guys again in 2 weeks. If you need to get in touch with us before then, you can head over to our website, www.selfcaretuesdays.com. And all our social handles are there. You can email us, whatever you need. We're here. Thanks again so much for listening. It was fun sharing. We'll talk to you guys soon.